It's almost been a year since we first heard about the Drake cutter. In the original leaks, we did see a reference to two variants of the cutter, the base cargo variant as well as the expedition variant. While we did get the base version at IAE 2952, today's leaks point clearly towards further development of the expedition variant, as well as a brand new scout version of our beloved space RV. Hello folks, Space Tech here, and in this video we're going to be breaking down everything we know about both the new variants of the cutter, as well as some really interesting references to some other upcoming ships in the code. First, let's take a look at the expedition variant. From this picture, we can clearly see that this is the same ship that was leaked last year. Excitingly, it definitely looks like it's gotten more polished since then, so it's been worked on for sure. In addition to this external picture, we also got a picture of the internals. Now that looks awesome. Let's line up this picture with what we found out about the ship last year. Starting in the back, we see some sort of display or computer on the wall. Its existence on a one-person ship makes me wonder what exactly its use may be, especially given its location all the way at the back of the ship. I believe it may end up being a mini version of the exploration stations in the back of the 400i or the Carrack. Alternately, it may end up being some sort of cargo management, since here we have room for only 1 or 2 SU of space on that yellow square beside the walkway. This may suggest that this is the shielded cargo we saw mentioned in the original slide for this ship. This would really be an interesting addition to the expedition ship. While not traditionally associated with exploration, the Drake Corsair has demonstrated Drake's intentional blurring of the lines between exploration of the stars and exploration of enemy cargo holes. With the diminutive size of the cutter, I can definitely understand the idea of sneaking through security or enemy forces with this variant of the cutter, carrying extremely valuable cargo. After all, even if you did see this ship flying around, what are the odds it would be worth your time to stop it? Moving into the main body of the ship, we see a locker for a full armor set. To me, this demonstrates CIG's commitment to limiting the kinds of armor and suits you can use while sitting in the pilot and passenger seats across different ships. For example, the Novikov and Pembroke suits that allow you to survive extreme cold and extreme heat respectively are very bulky to provide that kind of protection. CIG has mentioned in the past that not all seats will be able to accommodate all sizes of armor. This was previously discussed in the context of heavy armor and the value that dropships and their larger seats will be bringing to the verse. In the case of the cutter exploration, this suit locker will likely end up holding a specialized suit, allowing you to navigate hazardous conditions, while only wearing your flight suit so that you can pilot the ship. The only other unique part of this variant is the dining table that seems large enough to seat 2, but only comes with 1 seat, interestingly enough. In the original slide deck for this ship, we saw that this variant was concepted to have a food machine at some point. While this may seem rather insignificant to many, I personally find this to be a huge quality of life feature, if nothing else. Stanton is an extremely small system compared to many others, and I still find myself running out of food and water multiple times a session, especially if I'm doing any amount of running around, of course. As we get to larger systems and exploration gameplay that encourages staying out away from stations, food sources are going to become invaluable in my opinion. Overall though, I have to wonder what the role of an exploration ship the size of a cutter will be. As a game loop that will encourage being far away from stations and civilizations as a whole, I'd imagine smaller ships will struggle to be as competent as larger ones, especially with the primary drawback of fuel capacity. If you're in deep space searching for an outpost, when would you rather bring a cutter over a larger ship with larger components and much more fuel? This is going to be an interesting ship to keep an eye on. Next is the scout variant of the cutter. From the internal image of this ship, we can see it returns to the original room sizing of the base cutter. It looks to carry roughly the same amount of cargo, but the real change is visible on the far wall. Immediately grabbing your attention is a large scanning screen that will likely give you access to the information provided by the scanning dish on top of the cutter. Also interesting is the larger component to the right side of the scanning interface. This is specifically interesting as it would be one of, if not the very first variant, to have a differently sized internal component. Do you think it'll be a larger power plant, a cooler, or something else altogether? Something to help power the radar dish on top, perhaps. To solidify the existence of this ship, we did also see reference to deploying and retracting the radar dish located on top. The real question is though, as a ship that has almost identical dimensions to the Anvil Terrapin, what do you think is going to help set the Cutter Scout apart? Other than the cutter variants, we did also get a couple other references to new ships in the code, namely the Argo SRV and the Crusader Spirit. likely in preparation for their in-game introduction later this year. Last, but certainly not least, we also got reference to a Titan suit in the code as well. While Titan suits have been mentioned in the past in relation to Squadron 42, I think this is the first time we've seen any mention of it in the code of the Persistent universe. While this is exciting, it's worth noting that this, along with any other information that we got as part of these leaks, are definitely subject to change as development continues. So tell me, which of the cutters are you most excited to see in game, and what role do you think it'll serve? Please like and/or subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.